Hello, and welcome to the Church 360 Ledger, setting up your church budget. Hi, my name's Rod, and this is Rod Kiles, and I am the Customer Onboarding Specialist for Concordia Technology Solutions. You can reach me one of two ways. You can reach me by email at rod.kiles@cph.org, and you can also reach me by phone at 314-268-1315. I kindly ask that you mute your phones or microphones and type any questions you may have into the question window. I do answer these questions. I do answer the questions in order, and I answer all the questions at the end of class. So if you have a question along the way, please go ahead and post that question. Let me go ahead and switch over to our class overview screen. And this webinar is broken basically into three sections. So we'll go through the class overview and we'll discuss the items that we want to cover during this webinar. Then we'll transition and switch over into Church 360 Ledger where we'll go through each one of those features in detail. And then we'll come back to our PowerPoint and have our question and answer session. So three sections there. So let's go ahead and go through our class overview. So we're going to start out by, when dealing with budgets, budgets are attached to accounts. So we'll start out by showing how to enter those accounts into the system. Then once we have our budgeted accounts in the system, we're going to go through reports and historical numbers to help us prepare kind of research our numbers to help us prepare for entering those budgets into the system. So we're going to go through the chart of accounts report, and we're going to go take a look at the statement of income and expense report. Once we've reviewed our numbers, then we're going to go over to the budget screen where we'll actually go through the process of entering the budgets into the system. And once we've actually entered our budgets in, there's one other topic that I like to cover, and that's permissions and users, which will allow us to specify who can see which accounts and which budgets. So that's kind of like a housekeeping task there. We'll just throw that in at the very end. So then once we've completed all of our tasks there, then we'll have our question and answer session. So if you're ready, I'm ready, and let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens, and everyone should be able to see our demo.church360ledger.com website. And in the middle of the window, there'll be our login screen where we can go through the process of logging into the system. There is a forgot your password to help you log in if you forget your password. And there used to be a remember me button. We've removed that. Now there's a timeout of 10 minutes. So if you're in the program for 10 minutes, it'll warn you. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my password here and click sign in. And once I sign in, I'm going to land here on what I call the transactions view, because you'll see the transactions down the bottom. But this would be your home screen. And anytime you click the orange dollar sign here at the upper left, that will actually take you to your home screen. So across the top is going to be your main menu bar. And the area that we want to go to is going to be the chart of accounts. So in between let me move this over. In between your profile icon and your reports icon, there's a little gear. And that gear allows you to access the different settings areas of Church 360 Ledger. Also in the menu bar, there is a print queue, and this is where your checks will show up, and there's a generate transactions queue, which allows you to generate your deposits from your offering batches, and it allows you to generate your recurring transactions. So you'll see those items here in the drop list. So let's go to the gear, and let's go to chart of accounts. And the chart of accounts view is where you will fill in where you'll actually create your accounts and categories. A category is a container, so you can put all your accounts into a category, and that category will total, showing you the amount that is inside of each one of those accounts. Excuse me. Inside of Church 360 ledger, there are 4 different account types. There's assets, and we'll scroll down a little bit here, liabilities, income, and expense accounts. When it comes to budgets, you can assign a budget to an income or expense account. So I'm going to click on income here on the left-hand side. And this is going to show me my full list of income accounts. And you'll notice that some of the accounts have a little teal bar some of the lines have a little teal bar that runs down the left-hand side of that bar. And if it has that little teal bar, that means that that item is a category. And if it doesn't have the teal bar, kind of like general funds here, then we know that that is an account. Just one second. Okay, excuse me. So you'll have categories and you'll have accounts. And when it comes to income and expense accounts, you can have as many of those accounts as you would like, and you can arrange them through the use of drag and drop inside of whichever category you want them to be. So in our situation, we're going to be doing budgets for our youth basketball mission, our youth basketball ministry, and our youth group supplies. So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and we have our ministry area. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom where there's new account and there's new category. To create a new category, I'll simply click New Category, and to create a new account, I'll click New Account. And you'll notice when this window comes up that I have the option to enter in a name and an account number. So this is going to be the one that is youth basketball. And if I have an account number, I can type an account number in. I can come back and add the account number in later. And one thing about Church360 Ledger is you can actually use it without account numbers if you'd like. The system sorts based on the order that the account is here in the system. And anytime you look through the program, you'll notice that they're sorted by this order. By the way that you have items placed inside of this view. So if you go into a drop list, the order that we have here is the order that the item will be sorted by. And if you go to your reports, this order here is the order that the accounts will be in for your reports. So I'm going to click Submit, and that will allow me to create this account. You may have noticed one other thing as well. For these accounts, there's no balance. So for income and expense accounts, there's no beginning balance for those accounts. So when you're looking at these accounts, you'll just type in the name and if you have an account number. If you want to edit an account, you can click on that row, and then it will open up the inline editing where you can make changes to that account. And then the numbers that run down the right-hand side are going to be your current balance for that account. So once I've added my account here into the system, I'm going to click Save Changes, and I'm going to click Confirm in the little modal window that appears. Once the chart of accounts has been updated, I will receive a little I'll receive a little banner here across the top. So now that I have youth basketball in the system, what I'm going to do is drag youth basketball up here to the top and drop that into place. And I'm going to call this a youth basketball ministry. And then click Submit and Save Changes, and then confirm them. So now underneath our income accounts, we have a category for offerings. Then we have a category within that category called ministry. Then inside of that ministry, we have youth basketball ministry. So that account is now ready to be used. So if we do deposits or transfers, we can deposit or transfer money into that income account. Now let me go ahead and expand the expense section here, and we want to add a account in for an expense account as well. So let's say that we have an account called Youth Group Supplies, and we're going to put that underneath Ministries. So we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom and we'll click on New Account, and we're going to call this Youth Group Supplies. I don't have any account numbers here to fill in, but as you'll notice, you can enter in account numbers if you'd like. So I'm going to click Submit. Then that's going to give me the Youth Group Supplies account. And then I'm going to take, drag, and position this account here underneath Youth Ministries. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit and click Save Changes, and then click Confirm. And it looks like I've done this presentation before. That's why I have duplicates. And let me just put the number 2 after my account. So, okay. I'm going to save changes there and confirm. So then that's how you would add an account, and that's how you can rearrange the accounts as well. So once we have our accounts in the system, the next thing we're going to want to do is go through the process of reviewing some of the history. To do that, we're going to take a look at a couple of reports. The 2 reports I'd like to look at today are, one is going to be the Chart of Accounts report, and the other is going to be the Statement of Income and Expense. To access your reports, up at the top there's going to be the series of icons that we talked about earlier. There's one that kind of looks like a notebook. That's going to be your reports icon. When you click on that icon, you'll have a series of reports. And we're going to start with the Chart of Accounts report. And this report, when you set the date range correctly here at the upper right, it'll show you each account that's here in the system, the starting balance, ending balance, the debits versus credits, your change plus or minus, and your change percent. So by looking at this and seeing your change plus or minus, you'll be able to tell how much money was spent out of that account through the year. So I'm going to go back, and let's say that I'm going to take a look at 2015. So if I click the date here at the upper right, and then I click on the year, that's going to set my date range here to all of 2015. And once it's selected, then down here toward the bottom, or down here in the bottom part of the window, you're actually going to see all of the numbers, all of the totals for 2015. So I'm going to click here where it says 2015 to collapse that little tray. Then I'll be able to scroll down, and you'll notice the sort order. It's going to start out with assets. Then you're going to see your categories, and you'll see your restricted funds and your unrestricted money. But if we scroll down a little bit further, then we're going to see our income, and a little bit further we'll see our expense accounts. And then items that have the little triangle pointing down, those are going to be categories, and then the accounts within them will be below the category. So if I scroll down and we get down to where an expense, go up to income, under ministry we'll have our youth basketball ministry, and under expense we'll have our youth group supplies too. So we'll have both of them. The good thing about this report is we can see how much was spent through the whole year, and we can review that information from year to year. So I could go back and look at 2014, and I could look at 2013. So by using this report, I can go back in time and just determine how much money was being spent or how much money was coming in. With this report, I can export it to Excel, so I can say export to Excel. And I'm on 2013. So when I click export to Excel, it's going to start the downloading process. So it's going to send a request to the server to gather that information. Then at some point, I'll get a message letting me know that this information has been exported to Excel. Let me give this just a second here. Okay, and then down at the bottom, it'll say chart of account balances. And then I could do the same for 2014, export to Excel. And I could do 2015. So then I would have 3 years worth of information. Let me give it just a moment here. And actually, while that's downloading, I'm going to double click on the chart of accounts report so that we can see the information in Excel. Once you open up Microsoft Excel, it's going to say enable editing, and then that will allow me to see all the numbers. Then from there, what I can do if I want to compare the numbers side by side, I could open up the second spreadsheet, and I'm just going to click on that spreadsheet. Enable editing. So I'll notice at the top that one spreadsheet says account balances, and then it has parentheses 1 on it. So I'm going to maximize this window, and at this point what I can do is I can scroll down to the bottom of the report, copy the columns that I want to move over. So I'm going to move everything from 2014 over. Go to copy. Then I can minimize that report and open up the first one that I downloaded, chart of account balances. It doesn't have the 1 on it. Then I could right click and paste, and then that would paste this information side by side. So I have the change here for 2013, and I could rename the column header if I wanted to. So change plus or minus for 2013. And I could delete the columns that I didn't want. So if I wanted to use the starting and ending balances but exclude the credits and debits, I could. And I could also leave the percent change. Then right here where I have my columns, I have my accounts. I also have my accounts here on the left-hand side, and those are going to match up since I've exported the exact same information twice. What I'll do is I'll delete that information. Then I'll have the beginning balance as of 2013 and the beginning balance as of 2014. And then I'll get rid of the credits and debits here as well. So right click and delete. Delete. Okay. Then I'd be able to compare the percent change from one year to the next. So in 2013, we had $59,214, and in 2014, we had $57,139, and this is going to be the assets. So what I would do is, if I was doing this, I would get rid of the assets and liabilities at the top. And I'm just going to highlight those and delete them. Then this would be my income. You'll notice that there's the pound signs here, the hashtags here. If you click on the little bar between G and H, or between the the column and the next column, that will expand those and right size those columns. So if I'm looking at the general fund, balance as of, we don't have budgets in here, but if we had budgets, we'd be able to see how closely we were adhering to the budgets. But the change for 2016 for the 2013 for the general fund is $260,000, and the plus or minus for 2014 is going to be $164,000. So you could definitely tell that things had changed there just a little bit. So. And then with this number here, the percent change, that is a formula, so you want to be careful about which columns you delete in that case. But that's how you'd be able to compare those numbers using the chart of accounts report. You could also, and I'm going to say don't save here, you can also do the same with the statement of income and expense. So if I click the gear here at the top, and I'm sorry, if I go to reports here at the top and I go to the statement of income and expense, so the income and expense report, then that's going to show me, it's going to keep my time frame, but that's going to show me only my income and expense accounts. And then I'm going to see the budgets for that year. I'm going to see the actuals for that year. Then I'll see budget and the percent remaining, the percent of budget, and then the amount remaining. So for 2014, our total income was $188,079.35, but we budgeted $292,000, so we fell quite a bit short there, a total of $103,000. So in looking at this report, we would go down and then we would need to cut out that amount of money in our expenses, because if we had planned to receive that and we didn't, we wouldn't want to overspend by over $100,000. So, and when it comes to exporting the information, you can go through the same process. So you can export to Excel, and then this would be exporting the 2014 information to Excel. And this time I'll do 2014 and 2015. Give it just a second here. Okay, then I'm going to switch the date picker to 2015 and then click Export to Excel. And while that's exported, I'm going to go ahead and click on the first of the two exports. So I'm going to open up the income and expense sheet there. Then in here just in a second, the other one's going to download for me. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to open that one up and enable the editing. Then what I can do is I can copy. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. And I'd be able to copy the 2015 income and expense information and paste that into the 2014 income and expense information. So I'm going to maximize this window. Then I'm just going to paste. I'm going to paste right here. Then I can delete any columns that I don't need. If there's a column that I don't want, I can eliminate that one as well. So I'm going to right click and delete the account column. And then I can double click to right size the columns, and then I'd be able to compare. So, and really I might just want to compare actuals to actuals. So I could go through and delete unwanted information. If there's a formula on an item and I'm going to be deleting related columns or related rows, then what I want to do is click between A and 1 here, then right click and copy, then right click and use the one for paste values. So paste values means that I'm going to paste the actual number and get rid of all of my formulas. So that means when I go through and if I delete something, like if I deleted these columns here where my actuals were side by side, then my formulas won't fail because I've eliminated information in between the two. So then I would see the actuals for 2014 and the actuals for 2015. And having those numbers would allow me to review what I potentially could expect to happen in 2016. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to minimize this report here and or minimize both of those spreadsheets. And once I've reviewed my historical data, the next thing I'm going to want to do is go in and enter the budgets. So I'm going to go to the gear here at the top and go to budgets. And this little white box that appears here, that appears because it's loading the little graph, I'm sorry, it's loading the little grid of information, and it takes just a second for that to load. So at this point, you'll notice that some of the bars are a darker color and some of the bars are a lighter color. The darker colors are going to be your categories and the lighter colors are going to be your accounts. And you can only enter budgets for accounts. So in taking a look at this, if we wanted to, we could click here on the row and we could actually type in the amount of budget. Right now it does not allow you to enter in the total amount for the year or the annual budget and then divide that by 12, but you can do Control C, Control V, or right click, copy and paste. Then you could actually arrow over, then paste and paste and paste, and that's the quick way of entering those in. If you've been using Church360 Ledger for longer than a year, you do have the option to include the previous year budget or the previous year actuals. So just clicking the little link or finger there will allow you to insert either the either the actuals or the budgets. Then you would scroll down to the bottom and you could click Save Changes, and that would save your budget. Now, if I scroll back up here to the top, there is this link here for Change All To, and this would allow you to apply last year's budget or last year's actual to all of the accounts. So that's a, kind of like a quick action button there that allows you to update all the information at once. And you just want to make sure to save your changes once you've entered in your budgets. So, and you'll notice here at the top that the total for funds is 22,083, and then that's going to be the total of all the accounts below that fund. Below that category. The category's name is fund. Okay. To the right of that is going to say exports to Excel, and this allows you to take your budget numbers and export them to Excel. And I'm going to open that up there, and then you'll actually see all of, I'm going to say yes. Yes. Okay. And then once you open that up, that window is behind that one. Once you open that window up, you'll be able to see each one of the accounts and the amount of budget for every single month. So let me close that window there. And I'm going to close the income and expense one here. I'm going to say don't save. And then to the right of the export to Excel is going to be your date selector, your date picker. And you can go back in time and see prior budgets. So well, let's go ahead and now that we have budgets in the system, what we can do, and I'll just leave this on 2016, is we could go back to our reports here, go to income and expense, and when we pull up the statement of income and expense for 2016, you'll be able to see our budgets here in the system now. So we've actually entered in our budgets. We've done our research and we've entered in the appropriate budget, and we'll be able to now use the statement of income and expense to see how closely we've adhered to that budget. So we could go up here, and so far this is the early part of March, so we could say that this is January through February. And it'll show me the budget for the first 2 months, and it'll show me the actuals for the first 2 months. And looks like we're doing pretty good in some areas, and some other areas not so well. But this would be the report. It looks like we're a difference of about 35,000 almost. So this is probably something we should look into. When it comes to your budgets and being able to access those in the system, your permissions allow you to do that. So whenever you log into the system, each login is tied to a permission group. And for the administrator can go in and review the rights of each person. So to access that, you can go to the gear here at the top and go down to permissions. And these are going to be your permission groups in. It only comes with the administrator group, but we've added in these additional permission groups to kind of show you how they work. When you go into a permission group, and I'm going to use the church council members for our example here. For church council members, you'll have, right now I have it set up to where the person can just manage chart of accounts. That will give them the ability to go in and look at a certain set of accounts and enter in budgets. So down here at the bottom, it's going to say accounts, and then this is talking about account access. And they can see all accounts. They'll have the option to see all accounts, or they'll have the option to can see a subset of accounts. So you'll select which one you want. In our situation, it's just going to be can see a subset of accounts. And then here in the middle, there's transactions, and you can specify whether or not a person can create transactions like deposits, journal entries, payments, transactions, or transfers, and or checks, and whether or not they can edit transactions. Then it's going to say can manage tenant, which means that they'll basically be an administrator and they'll have rights to users and profiles. They'll have rights to the permissions, the general section, and also recurrent transactions. So when it says manage tenant, that's more like your administrative settings. Then there is an option for can print checks. So I'm going to go ahead and submit council members here. And then when I go back up to the gear, I can go to users, and users is where I would invite somebody to access the system. And from here, I can search underneath filter to find the name that I'm looking for. If the person's here, I can see what type of permission they have. And if I need to invite somebody, I can click add a new one, type in their email address, specify which permission group that they're going to be assigned to, and I can type in the accounts that they are allowed to access. So when dealing with permissions, and if the person is a ministry leader, they may only have access to see certain accounts. So you could type in and specify those accounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out and log back in as Jack Wilson. Okay. And once I log in as Jack Wilson, you'll notice the bar across the top is just a little bit different. I can still go to the orange dollar sign here at the top, and I can see my book selector. But since he doesn't have rights to print checks and he has limited account access, there's going to be buttons that are missing. But he can go in and see the budgets, and that will allow him to go in and add and update those budgets. So he could also go to the orange dollar sign here, go to expense, and see the different expense accounts that he has access to, so, and the transactions. But that would be all the information that I had to share for this presentation. Do you have any questions? Okay. If there aren't any questions, I do want to thank everybody for attending. We hope you enjoyed this class. If you have any further questions, you can contact us at 1-800-346-6120, and you can also email us at support@cts.cph.org.